Let's talk about going back to the office and what to expect in terms of spaces.
Have no expectations at all.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, if you think about before the pandemic, there were three types of workspaces that you had access to. If you were an individual contributor, you sat in a cube, which wasn't great. If you were a manager, you had an office probably around the perimeter of the building with a window that deprived all the light of the individual contributors. And there's probably a 12-person conference room, a number of them spread throughout the building. And if you think about the ratio of what we call we space, or spaces where you can collaborate, versus me space, individual spaces, it was probably like a 70-30 ratio. Not a lot of collaboration spaces, just those big conference rooms, and that was about it. In this new way of working with hybrid work, you should think about flipping that ratio. So your actual number of we spaces or collaboration spaces should be more than your individual spaces. And the reason for that is you want to incentivize when people go back to the office for them to interact and collaborate, person to person, face to face. Otherwise, they might as well stay home. So let's talk about the new modern workplace and the types of spaces that individuals want and expect. So when I walk into an office at the beginning of the week, I want to be able to see where all my colleagues are, interact with them very easily. And from a real estate and facilities perspective, I want to maximize the use of space because people aren't coming in every day. So how do I do that? Well, I do that by not assigning spaces to individuals. And I give them the opportunity to touch down at something, some people call it hoteling or hot desking, be able to reserve a space for the day. And so that allows me to see my colleagues, interact with them. And if I need to focus, there's one of two things I can do. I can put on some noise canceling headsets, or I can go to what's called a quiet room or a focus room. And the reason for that room is if I need to really do some heads down concentration, or maybe I need to get on a call and really need to focus on that call, I can do that in this smaller video booth, quiet room, focus room. There's a lot of different names for it. Another scenario during the day, maybe I need to get together with 3 or 4 of my colleagues. This concept of huddle spaces exists. And huddle spaces can simply be some semicircle table up against the wall, video screen so I can share content or bring somebody in remotely. Or maybe I want to have it so that there's a number of different couches in the room and it's a much more casual conversation. And so that's the huddle space. The next type of space I want to have is some sort of ideation space. And with ideation, that means I need some sort of electronic whiteboard. I want to bring some folks in remote. Maybe I've got high tabletop, high chairs so that it fosters standing up, which fosters the generation of ideas. So that's the ideation space. Now, the other type of spaces that you may want to consider is just your normal conference rooms. That could be small conference rooms of 6 people, maybe up to 20 people. But be careful with these. Most of meetings now in a hybrid work environment may only have 3 or 4 people in the office or participating in the meeting on average now, and a few people remote. So that 20-person conference room may actually be a thing of the past. So be careful with how many of those that you deploy. So those are the different types of spaces. And of course, there's the boardroom. There's usually 1 or 2 of those in an organization, and that's outfitted to the nines. It's meant to bring in folks remote. It's meant to have the best experience, and it's usually a little bit more complex. This conversation today was really just about spaces, how you think about spaces when folks are returning to work in a hybrid environment. And there needs to be a little bit of a different mindset and thinking on how space is allocated and how space is used because people are working differently. So hopefully you found this video useful. Have a great day.